Morning, afternoon, everybody.
Afternoon.
Okay, so today we're going to discuss methods for teaching strings. One method in particular is what actually happens to be one of the more famous methods for teaching strings is the Suzuki method. It was invented in Japan and developed by this man here, Shinichi Suzuki. As you can see, he lived a very long life. His method was, you'll see, it's mostly based on his philosophy, which was that, I'll go back, which was that any child can learn to play violin if they're taught properly. Now this method, it's namely a violin method, but it's also used for, as you can see here, viola, piano, and cello, and these are the demographics of those, the percentages of those who fall in that range of who study this. So going back to his philosophy, he believes that children learn their native tongue easily, so he decided to incorporate this with music, which is known as the mother tongue approach. So that if they learn their native tongue, they'll be able to pick up the concepts of learning a musical instrument much quicker. And the ideal age for this is about age 3 to 4, because at that age, the children are learning, they're developing their mental processing as well as muscle coordination. So like having something physical in their hand, they'll be able to move around and develop it. One of the key components of this method is the involvement of parents, because how it's set up is the children aren't left, to their own devices. They have their parent at home, sitting with them, making sure that they're practicing, and sometimes even the parent will learn some of the pieces themselves, so they could help the students out at home, and they'll collaborate with the teacher also to create a more enjoyable learning experience. So it's not just, like I said, they're not left to their own devices. Another very important aspect of this is learning by listening. So the children, they're encouraged to listen to their pieces a lot. Well, so some of you I see are probably familiar with this method. So they're encouraged to listen a lot to the pieces to help develop their skills of memorizing them, and also to develop their skills for immediately recognizing the pieces also. Because how the Suzuki method is set up, there's actual pieces of music in this method, and as they continue to listen to it, they'll be like, oh, okay, yeah, it's the Bach beret or something like that. So it just comes easily with repetition and listening. And this stage looks quite familiar to us, doesn't it? Yeah. So how this works is a step-by-step process. They'll start when they're really young. How it works is they have the twinkle variations. So we'll start with Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, and different variations built on that. To help them, it's different rhythms. And then they'll start with that in book 1, and then we'll go all the way up to book 10, I believe, which is, I think the entire book is a Mozart concerto. So they'll learn, different pieces, building upon different skills. And the students learn at their own pace, so there's no rushing. It's like if one student will take a while to get to a certain level, it's fine. Then the children support each other. And as you can see here, we actually, on Saturdays here, if you guys ever want to check it out, there's a Suzuki, there's a lot of Suzuki group classes. It's mostly violins and cellos here, where they do it. And then they'll perform in a Suzuki festival, which is what this is. So like they'll have the older students come on, the more advanced ones, and they'll do their, they'll do playthrough, and then they'll have each group of students coming on until the younger ones. You don't really see them here, but like they're really little, and they're learning the twinkle variations and things in the first book. And the children support one another, and they have group classes also. As you can see here, the cellists, they all look happy, right? So with any method of teaching, you're going to have your pros and cons, what works and what doesn't, and the stars and bushes, we call them. Some of the pros to the Suzuki method, they enhance the students' ear training. So they'll get like I said earlier, they'll get very used to hearing the pieces a lot, and they'll be able to recognize the pieces, and and develop their ears as far as listening to other music as well. And like I said earlier, it enhances their ability to recognize pieces. And it forces them to play from memory, because as you saw on the last slide, the picture I had of the Suzuki Festival, none of them are reading any music. They all have the music memorized, and they're just getting up and playing it. And it's a really important skill, which because I was doing research, and they said that a lot of Suzuki players, they'll tend to have a better ear as opposed to those who study the traditional method, which is like actually just throwing music in front of them and having them start from that. Some of the cons there, like I said, the music reading might not be as strong. So you have somebody that starts out in Suzuki, they'll get so used to hearing the pieces over and over again, and they'll just learn that way. And then when music is put in front of them, they'll struggle a little bit. Okay, and back to the parental involvement, the parents might get a little pushy, and the material might not be as fun anymore, because you have some cases where you'll have a parent that wants to live out their musical dreams through their child, and kind of force them into it, like, yeah, you must practice, and then that'll kind of discourage the child, and they're like, okay, I don't want to do this anymore now, because... and students might lack some technical skills, because in a lot of the Suzuki books, there's not a whole lot of arpeggios and flashy things that we think of. So it'll come in time, because a lot of students, they'll start with this method, and then at some point they have to break free and go on to the traditional method of learning, which is actually reading music and getting into more advanced nuances of their instrument. And that's pretty much it. Does anybody have any